Welcome to the podcast, Let the Prophets Speak. This is Saul Weinreb, the host of the podcast, and we are about to complete chapter 31. This is chapter 31d of the prophet Jeremiah, Yirmiyahu, and we're going to start with verse 31 and complete the chapter today. Now, if you remember, we just learned of the return of we learned in 31b of the return of the lost 10 tribes, the kingdom of Israel, the northern kingdom. In 31c, we read about the return of Judah, of Yehuda, and we ended by explaining that when they all come back into this union, it will be a united country. There will be no more strife between the north and the south, and there will be a different type of justice, a different type of relationship with God. And we started by explaining that no longer will it be a society in which corruption and evil is rooted from generation to generation and gets passed on, but rather it will be a type of generation in which evil is punished, good is obvious and rewarded, and a relationship between the people and God, in which justice will be obvious and clear. If we go back to in the same chapter, which we read when we did 31a, verses 2 through verses 6, we then understood what the old relationship between the people and God was, because we're about to discuss in D a new relationship, a new type of relationship between people and God, introduced by the verse that I just quoted to you about where justice is obvious and isn't rooted generation to generation. The evil is not rooted from generation to generation. But we read there about how in the desert, God fell in love, so to speak, with his bride, the Jewish people, who were wandering in the desert like lost refugees, bringing them to their promised land. And then the people responded to God by saying, but you're distant from us. We don't see you. And then God responded that, yes, I know I'm distant from you, but I'm giving you a covenant. And this covenant is one which you have to do A, B, and C. You have to follow my rules. And then I will be obvious to you, and then I will be seen. And if you don't, then I will not be. So it was a covenant that was dependent upon the people accepting it, and the people accepting the fact that God's presence was distant. Meirachok Adonai nirali was verse 3. We were seeing you from a distance, and the people were complaining. We see you from a distance, we don't feel your closeness. Now God is discussing a new covenant, a covenant where the people feel the closeness so much that the relationship becomes so much stronger of a bond. The day of the future when we see justice, when we know justice, when we understand God's way and we know the ways of God, is the day where evil will cease to exist. Yes, ish ba'avono yomut, like we said, each person will die of their sins, the evil will perish, but then the evil will be gone because it will be so clear to everyone the proper path. So now, in verse 31, which I'm about to begin, we're going to start to read about this new arrangement, the arrangement where it's not meirachok nirali, that God is seen from a distance, but where God is close. And God said as follows, Hinei yamim bo'im nom Adonai. There will be days coming. Remember, yamim bo'im, hinei yamim bo'im is a language that means the day, the distant future, the ultimate day, the day when that happens. So says God, V'chorati et Beit Yisrael v'et Beit Yehuda brit chadasha, and I will forge with the people of Israel and the people of Judah, both parts of the nation, a new type of covenant, a new way of relating with them. Lo chag brit asher korati et avotam, this is verse 32. Not the same as the covenant that I made with their forefathers, like I just described to you. Biyom hechaziki biyadam, when I held them by the hands, lahotziom me'eretz Mitzrayim, in order to take them out of Egypt. However, in that covenant, in the way we made that covenant, where after I held them by the hand through the desert and I led them, right, haloch lahargia, I brought them to a place of peace, a place where I was distant, where they did not see me anymore, merachok. right? I led them in such a way, and therefore, because I was distant, they then disobeyed my covenant. They didn't keep their part. Once I was distant, they didn't stay close to me. They went on their own way, b'shrirut libam, in their own way, v'anochi ba'alti vam. And because they broke my covenant, I therefore required to punish them. No'am Adonai, so says God. Verse 33, Ki zot habris asher echrot et Beit Yisrael acharei hayomim mohem no'am Adonai, because the covenant that I'm going to make with them in the future, in the end of days, in the end of time, says God, this is what it's going to be like. Notati et torati bikirbam, I place my Torah, my laws, my way of life, my Torah will be placed among them. This new covenant will be a covenant where the Torah is binding, where the Torah is something that the people feel. The Torah will be v'kirbam v'al libam, and within their hearts, echtavena, I shall write it, God says. My laws, my way of life, my way of living will be written so deeply inside their hearts and souls. And I will be for them for a God. I will be so close to them, I will be within their hearts. And then they will be for me for a nation. There will be no more rebelliousness, because this covenant will be so close to them and deep inside their souls. I'll be so close that no longer will one person need to learn from the other. And man from his brother Lamar saying, do it, Adonai. One person won't have to come like I, Jeremiah, now need to come to the people and tell them how to be, and then they don't listen, and I explain and they don't listen, and God sends other prophets and people don't listen. There will no longer be a need for prophets to tell everyone, act properly. Everyone will know me. They will know me already. They'll already be following me. From their childhood all the way until their adulthood, and or from the smallest ones among them to the largest people among them, meaning the most humble to the leaders of the congregation, so to speak. So says God. When we have this deep relationship and the people see the right way, I will forgive their sins, and I will no longer need to mention their iniquities, because they will no longer exist. And in this future time, God continues to speak. This is verse 35. So says God. Who am I to make this future that I'm promising? I am the one who's notin shemesh lar yomam. I'm the one that created the sun and placed it in the sky in order to bring light in the daytime. Chukot yoreach v'chochavim. I am the one that wrote all of the laws of the universe that keep the moon cycling and the stars in the sky, la'or laila, to bring light and to be the lights during the nighttime. Roga hayom. I am the one who stirs up the sea, and I create the waves of the sea. Adonai Tzvaot Shemo. It is He. He is God, the God of hosts, the great God. I am the one that is promising that this day will come. Im yamushu hachukim ha'ela milefanayin Adonai. If these rules of nature, right, would ever slip away from before me, says God, then Gam Zera Yisrael Yishpesu Miyoskai, and that's only then will the people of Israel cease from being my nation, Lefanai, from before me, Kol Hayomim, for all days of history. This verse can be read in several ways. One basic way is that God is saying that the laws of nature are so basic, and my special relationship with the Jewish people are just as basic as nature itself. There's another way to understand this, and that is that another way I like to read this is that the entire purpose of the people of Israel is to look and read and understand and learn about the world around them. These laws that keep the sun in place and the moon and the stars and nature and so on in their ways, it is from there that we learn and understand the existence of God. If we should stop learning and understanding the world around us, then we would cease to have any special mission as the people of Israel. There would be nothing left to teach. There will be no point or purpose for there being a people of Israel should we ever decide to ignore the world around us. Is it just another way of understanding verse 36? Ko Omar Adonai, so says God, Im yimadu shomayim milamala v'yechakru moste eretz lamata. If it was even possible to scientifically measure the heavens above and research how deep and exactly the size and the measurements of every single thing of the foundations of the world beneath us, then in other words, the world is so immeasurably large, the space is so infinitely large, the universe, when we go into the tininess of the atom, we're constantly finding smaller and smaller and smaller particles. It's infinitely small as well. Gam ani emas b'chozer Yisrael. To the same, if that's even possible to measure, to the same extent, I will get rid of and no longer be interested in the people of Israel. I'll call asher asu no Adonai for because of all of the things that they have done, says God. This is the same lesson, but just another way of saying it from the last verse. Either it could be understood as saying that God's love for the Jewish people for the people of Israel is as basic as nature itself, or again, the same thing. If the wonder of the awesomeness and the infinite wonder of the world around us is such a basic part of our message to this world, to understand the greatness of God and the infinite wisdom of God, and to bring the message to the world, that if we don't do that, there would then be no longer a purpose to the people of Israel. See verse 38. Hine yamim ba'imnum Adonai, there is, the day will come, v'nivnesaha ir l'Adonai, and the city of God will be built, mimigdal Hananel shar hapina, all the way from the tower of Hananel, which was a big tower in Jerusalem, all the way to the corner gate, v'yatza od kav hamida negdo, and there will again be a measuring line that goes opposite that, al givat Garev, all the way out to the hill of Garev, the height of Garev, v'nosav go asa. These are just place names trying to describe just how large and how beautiful the city will be when it gets rebuilt. V'cholahemek hapikarim, and the valley which is now during the time of destruction filled with corpses, v'hadeshen hashedemos ad nachal Kidron, and the valley of corpses and ashes. I'm sorry, I didn't break that up correctly. And all of the fields at Nachal Kidron that go all the way out to the wadi of Kidron, to the riverbed of Kidron, at Pinat Shahasusim Mizracha, all the way till the corner of the gate of horses in the east. These are just describing the tremendous dimensions of the future city. Kodesh L'Adonai will all be holy to God. Lo yinatesh v'lo yehares. They will never be destroyed. They will never be uprooted. Od l'olam, ever, forever, once this future day comes. Thank you so much for studying chapter 31 together. Looking forward to studying chapter 32 and, of course, the rest of the book of Jeremiah together as well.